She pleaded with Bar, please. Command him to release me. Let her go, Gufran. We did not come here to steal women. Gufran's mouth was silenced by a dirty hand smeared with dirt and blood. He hoisted her onto the back of his horse like a trophy of war. This won't happen, Bayer. I will take her. He kicked his horse's side with his heels, attempting to flee with her. But Bayer, the commander, quickly closed in and, without hesitation, plunged his sword through the small eye slit of Gufran's iron helmet. The blade pierced through his eye and exited the back of his skull. Blood erupted from the fallen knight's head, terrifying Jumana, who screamed at the sight. Don't be afraid, Bayer said to her, then lifted her with one arm and placed her behind him on the horse. Hold on to me tightly. I'll get you out of here. At that moment, when the knights saw their commander kill one of their comrades for the girl, they considered it a grave betrayal and immediately decided to execute him. The battle suddenly shifted into the ranks of the Gatham knights. They surrounded their commander, swords drawn. One of them shouted, "Did she enchant you to kill Gufran for her?" Bayer knew what he had done was considered treason. He realized that no matter how much he tried to justify his actions, they wouldn't believe him. He understood that there was no way out of this predicament except direct combat. He yelled, "Ayub, where are you? I need you." From behind the ranks of the Gatham knights emerged a towering, dark knight. He cut through the crowd with his sword and shield until he stood beside his friend. Surveying the grim scene, he remarked, "The view is terrifying from here. You can still retreat," Bayer suggested. Ayub smiled. The Black Knight never abandons his friend. The battle began, and Ayub and Bayer displayed exceptional skill and resilience. But no matter how strong or patient they were, they couldn't endure indefinitely. After a long time of fighting, exhaustion began to take its toll. "Our end is near, Ayub," Bayer said while continuing to fight. "I'm sorry. I shouldn't have dragged you into this." "Don't apologize, my friend. It would be an honor to accompany you to hell." During the battle, a treacherous arrow struck Bayer in his right thigh, severing his femoral artery. The significant blood loss quickly weakened his defenses. Turning to Ayub as he started to falter, Bayer said, "Take the girl and run. I'll cover you as long as I can." "No, we'll stay together until the end. Do as I say. I won't leave you." Bayer began losing focus and consciousness due to the massive blood loss. When Jumana noticed the extent of his, please like and share the video. Also subscribe to my channel. Sacrifice for her, she decided to break the Emperor's family code and use her powers to save the situation. Her hazel eyes glowed a radiant red. She grabbed Bayer's clothing with one hand while extending her other toward Ayub. "Take my hand," she shouted. Ayub, confused by the strange request, hesitated while fending off the relentless attacks of the Gatham knights. Jumana screamed again, "Trust me. Take my hand." He did as she asked. As soon as he grabbed her hand, all three of them vanished from the battlefield. Moments later, Ayub found himself in a different place with Jumana and the unconscious Bayer. "What did you just do?" Ayub asked in shock. "I'll explain later," she snapped, nervously pressing her hands against Bayer's bleeding wound. "We need to save him quickly. He's lost too much blood." Jumana's grandmother, Taj, paused her story, seemingly burdened by the painful memories. "I told her that love is the gentle twin of death," Taj said with a sigh. "But young people never understand until it's too late." "Does that mean Ayub knew Jumana's secret from the beginning?" "Yes," Taj replied. "She made him swear to keep it to himself, not even telling Bayer." "And did the Gatham knights succeed in killing the men of Al-Jasasa village?" Taking a deep breath, Taj answered. "When the Emperor's family learned their daughter was involved in that conflict, they went to the battlefield to save her. But when they didn't find her, they assumed she had died or faced some misfortune. So they killed all the Gatham knights. From that day until now, the Gatham organization has never dared to send forces to Al-Jasasa again." "And how did Bayer and Jumana fall in love later?" "That's not the point." Taj dodged the question, glancing at her grandson lying nearby. "The point is, I want to make this boy stronger. But you know that." Iqliel, a majestic bird-like creature, hesitated, searching for the right words. Then, swishing his long, peacock-like tail, he continued, "You know what I'm trying to say." "I know," Taj said, "but I'm getting old, and you'll need a new master. I don't want you to die with me one day." Playfully, she added, "Isn't that right, Iqliel? An honor for a phoenix is to die with its master." Iqliel responded sorrowfully. Taj had only one way to prepare the phoenix's ashes, by burning Iqliel and using the remaining ashes to cover her grandson's body. However, the risk was immense. If his body absorbed the ashes, it would ignite the fire within him. If not, the experiment would fail and the boy would die. Iqliel said, "I've never refused you anything before and won't start now." As a final farewell, he opened his wings and embraced his mistress. Those were wonderful days, weren't they? Of course, she replied softly, though she knew he was broken inside. Was Akil a loyal servant? He asked. No, Taj whispered. You were a true friend, and that's what makes this farewell harder. What will you name Chick? He asked curiously. Smiling tenderly, she whispered in his ear. The chick born from your ashes will be named Akil, so I'll remember you every time I see it or hear someone call its name. Not wanting to prolong the pain of their farewell, Akil didn't linger in the embrace. He flew out the window, saying in a neutral tone to spare her guilt, I'll gather the firewood from the forest and wait for you at the castle. Meanwhile, Taj prepared a red, viscous liquid in a medium-sized iron pot. Mixing it with black flowers, she whispered the incantation for forgetfulness. Forget, forget, O fire, O black flower, O red liquid of oblivion. Make Jumana's son forget. Nothing heals the wounds of the heart like death or forgetfulness. She licked it and kept stirring until it turned a deep maroon, the color of aged grape wine. She dipped the tip of her finger into the hot liquid and, like a mother testing the salt in a dish, touched it with the tip of her tongue. Bitter, she said, but it will ease his wounds. On the second floor of the castle, in the wide room with tall, open windows where the sunlight and air flowed freely, Taj approached the bed holding the drink of forgetfulness. She sat beside her unconscious grandson, propped his back with one hand, brought the cup to his lips with the other. Drink, she murmured. This will make you forget. When she finished pouring the potion into his mouth, she laid him back on the bed, covering him carefully with the blanket. Taj then walked to the window, looking out at the castle's courtyard, where Akil waited outside, surrounded by gathered firewood from the forest. Taj didn't want to burden herself with more grief over parting with her bird. Perhaps that's why she didn't speak to him when she descended to him. Instead, she silently began arranging the wood on the ground geometrically in preparation for the coming pyre. Let's get this over with quickly, she said when she finished. Akil spread his wings and leapt atop the woodpile. He looked at her expectantly. Begin, she commanded in a firm tone, giving him the signal. His sharp triangular face grew more serious than ever before, his eyes turning fiery red. Suddenly, he let out a terrifying roar, so chilling that even Taj, fearless by nature, felt a shiver of dread. Akil opened his beak, and from it came a blazing flame that engulfed the massive pile of wood beneath him. It didn't take long before the fire consumed him completely. It's hard to describe what Taj felt as she watched her loyal companion burn before her eyes. But one thing is certain, she did not regret her decision. She knew that the goal she sought to achieve through this act was worth every sacrifice. When the flames finally died down and Akil was reduced to ashes, she moved quickly to the next part of her plan. Taj knelt by the ashes, sifting through them with her hands as though searching for something. When she found it, she smiled. It was a small chick, no bigger than a clenched fist, covered in dense, soft orange feathers. It had wide, frightened eyes like those of a startled rabbit, a tiny curved beak, and frail legs with 5 weak claws on each foot. Anyone who saw the tiny phoenix chick, newly reborn from its ashes, would never imagine that this gentle creature would grow to become a deadly and formidable weapon. Gazing at it fondly, she said softly, "Hello, little one." The phoenix chick stared at her curiously, not knowing who this old woman was or why she was looking at him so intently. Taj wanted to stroke his soft feathers, to hold him in her hands, but she refrained, fearing that the chick might grow attached to her, thinking she was its new master. Gathering the ashes in her hands, she began walking back toward the castle. When she looked back, she saw the chick standing still, staring after her. "Follow me, little one," she called out. Taj walked toward the castle slowly, step by step, to give the chick time to follow her. She ascended to the room where her grandson still lay on the bed. Removing the blanket, she began covering his entire body with the ashes, making sure not to leave a single inch uncovered, except for the area around his nostrils so he could breathe. When she finished, she left the room, leaving the chick alone with the child. Taj knew that the phoenix ashes would awaken the dormant fire within her grandson, and that the time spent together would be enough for the phoenix chick to recognize its new master.